Chains of the Accord. The galaxy was vast, filled with thousands of star systems, each controlled by powerful empires and councils. Yet one rule connected them all. The Accord, a law older than most species still breathing. It was a pact signed in blood and fear, and every new world that rose into the stars was forced to kneel under its weight. When Earth's ships first crossed the edge of interstellar space, the Accord's envoys came quickly. They did not come with welcome. They did not come with open arms. Instead, they came with chains, the golden kind, made to look beautiful but heavy enough to crush. They promised safety, trade, and protection, but their words hid the truth. In reality, the Accord saw every new species as a tool, another set of hands to carry the burdens of the old powers, another race to serve the ones who thought themselves eternal. Humanity, still young in the stars, listened at first. Earth's leaders were cautious. The envoys spoke of order, of avoiding war. They spoke of peace, but their peace meant obedience. The first demand came within months. Earth was ordered to send workers to the Council's great shipyards, strong bodies to build warships not their own, men and women pulled from homes to work under alien overseers. The second demand followed soon after. Earth was to send soldiers, human blood, to fight wars that were never theirs. At first, the leaders argued. They sent messages, requests, appeals for fairness, but every word was drowned under the same threat: serve or be destroyed. The Accord had crushed hundreds of younger races before. Their fleets were vast, their weapons old but still sharp. They had ruled for centuries by breaking worlds before they could rise. The people of Earth felt the weight of this chain. Colonies newly built on Mars and Titan watched as alien ships hovered above them, not as allies, but as masters. Some humans bent the knee, believing survival meant obedience, but others whispered that Earth had not come this far just to be slaves. In the silence of hidden rooms, voices grew louder. Engineers, soldiers, and even farmers spoke of resistance. They remembered Earth's history, every war, every fight, every time humanity had been told it could not rise, and yet it had. Still, fear was heavy. The first clash proved the danger. When a small fleet of human ships refused an Accord order, alien cruisers descended. In minutes, the human vessels were torn apart, their crews lost. The Accord broadcasted the wreckage across Earth's skies as a warning. "You will serve," the voice of the Council boomed through every channel, "or you will vanish as ash." The world grew silent. Hope dimmed. Yet, in the darkness, something stirred. On the broken remains of a mining colony near Jupiter, a group of survivors found fragments of alien technology left behind by the Council. Scavengers at first. They studied what they should not have touched. They learned. They adapted. And within secret labs hidden under ice and rock, they began to build. Rumors spread across the underground channels. Whispers of weapons stronger than any human had ever built. Whispers of ships that could tear through the Accord's armor. Still, the Council tightened its grip. More humans were taken, more colonies stripped bare. But Earth was watching, Earth was waiting, and Earth was planning. The moment came when the Accord demanded something that broke the last of humanity's patience. They ordered children, yes, children, to be shipped away, not to fight, but to serve as servants in alien courts, trophies of obedience. That was the spark. Earth's leaders knew they could no longer hide, no longer stall, no longer pretend peace was possible. For the first time in decades, every hidden base, every secret lab, every engineer who had worked in silence all came together. The decision was made in whispers that turned into roars. Humanity would not serve. Humanity would not kneel. Humanity would fight. But they also knew something else. Against the Accord, there was no room for half measures. This was not a war for freedom alone. This was survival. If Earth was to stand, the Accord must fall. Not weakened, not humbled, but erased. The Accord thought humanity would serve, but Earth had chosen another path, a darker path, a path that would lead to fire and blood. And in the cold silence of space, the first human warship built from stolen alien designs came alive. Engines burning brighter than stars, weapons humming with a power never meant for human hands. Humanity was ready, and extinction was no longer their fear, it was their promise. The hidden forge. The Accord believed the warning had been enough. They thought humans would bend like every race before, but what they did not know was that Earth had already moved underground, behind quiet faces and silent factories, beneath the ice of Europa, hidden under crushing seas and frozen crust. A forge burned in secret, machines hummed day and night, humans worked without pause, and what they built was not for peace, it was for vengeance. The wreckage of Accord cruisers had been collected piece by piece, scraps of alien metal dragged into caverns, dissected by human minds, every circuit studied, every weapon mapped. Humans were not the strongest, not the oldest, not the most advanced, but they were stubborn, creative, and above all, relentless. What the Council saw as discarded fragments, Earth turned into blueprints. The first success came from a young engineer's hands, a rail system reworked into something more violent. When tested on a frozen plain, the weapon tore a mountain in half, the fire of the strike echoing through the icy tunnels. Whispers spread through the hidden bases. "We have power now," some said, but the leaders reminded them, one weapon would not be enough. The Accord's fleets numbered in the thou. Sands, their world stretched farther than human eyes could see. So the forge continued. Humans built ships with stolen cores, weapons fused with Earth's own brutal designs, armor layered with metal mined from asteroids and forged under impossible pressure. And then came the name whispered across every secret chamber, the Hammer. The Hammer was not just a ship, it was a message. Its frame was thick, its cannons monstrous, its engines burning hotter than anything the Council believed humans could create. It was built not to defend, but to strike, not to resist, but to end. While it grew in the shadows, Earth's people lived under the Accord's boot. Alien overseers still demanded labor, still took humans for their wars. But some of those humans never returned, because they had slipped away, carrying secrets, carrying codes, carrying stolen maps of the Accord's fleets. Every missing worker, every vanished soldier, was not a loss. They were fuel for the Hammer. But shadows are fragile, and secrets burn when too many hands hold them, the Accord began to suspect. Patrols around Jupiter grew sharper. Alien eyes scanned every ship that moved through the belt. One night, deep within the forge, alarms rang. A scout ship had found the edge of the base, its sensors catching the faint hum of engines that should not exist. The humans reacted instantly. They launched interceptors, small, fast craft designed not to fight head-on but to cripple. They swarmed the scout ship like wolves tearing at a beast. The Accord vessel sent a message before it was destroyed, fragments of words reaching the Council. They build weapons. And for the first time the Accord felt unease. Their belief had always been simple. Humans would serve because they had no choice. But now doubt whispered, what if Earth was not bowing? What if Earth was sharpening a blade? The Council ordered fleets to gather, more ships to watch Earth, more soldiers to tighten chains. But they were already late, because on Europa the Hammer came alive. Its engines roared, shaking the ice above. Tunnels cracked as light burst through, a giant of war rising from the depths. Humans cheered though no sound carried in space. The Hammer was theirs, the first of many, and when its weapons locked onto a practice target, a derelict Accord ship stolen years before, the result was terrifying. One shot, only one, and the alien cruiser was ripped apart, its armor shattered, its body broken into pieces that burned across the stars. The humans stood in silence, watching as fire spread across the void. They had proof now, proof they could fight, proof they could win, but with proof came danger. The Accord would not ignore this. They would come, not with scouts, not with threats, but with entire fleets. And that was exactly what Earth wanted. Because humanity had not built the Hammer to hide, they had built it to declare war. The first strike. The Accord had ruled for centuries with fear. No race had ever dared to defy them openly. But now the whispers spread fast, faster than the Council could silence them. The humans are building warships. The humans are rising. Across alien markets, in backroom taverns of distant colonies. The story grew. Some laughed, others doubted, but a few remembered the strange fire in human eyes, the way they never stopped, never surrendered. The council ignored the rumors at first. They thought it was impossible. They thought humanity was too young, too weak, too dependent. But then came the wreckage of their missing scout fleet, broken into fragments, each piece carrying wounds only new weapons could make. The truth was undeniable now. Earth had teeth, so the Accord moved, and they moved with force. An entire fleet was sent to the Sol system, 20 cruisers, 5 carriers, and a dreadnought. Older than Earth's civilizations, their arrival shook the skies of Mars, blotting out the sun for the colonies below. The Accord's voice thundered across every channel. "Surrender your weapons, surrender your forges, or Sol will burn." Fear spread again. Old fear, heavy fear. But the leaders of Earth did not kneel. Instead, they gave a signal, a single word whispered through encrypted lines: "Unleash." From the shadows of Jupiter's moons, the hammer rose, not alone this time, for behind it came 3 more ships, smaller but deadly, sharp as blades forged in silence. The Accord laughed when they saw them. 4 ships? Against us? They jeered, confident, arrogant, blind. But then the first shot came. The hammer fired, and space itself seemed to rip open. A beam of fire lanced across the void, striking the lead Accord cruiser. Its shields flared, screamed, and shattered in an instant. The ship split apart, burning pieces raining into Mars's orbit. The laughter stopped. The Accord moved to strike back, weapons charging, fighters swarming. But the humans were faster than they believed possible. The smaller ships darted between the massive cruisers, weaving, striking, disappearing, every move precise, every shot deadly. They fought like hunters, not prey. The hammer unleashed another blast, this time against the dreadnought itself. The ancient giant groaned as its armor cracked. It was not destroyed yet, but for the first time in centuries, it bled. Across Earth, across Mars, across Titan, humans watched the battle unfold. Hope that had been buried for years now rose like fire in their veins. They saw their ships not just surviving, but winning. The Accord fleet realized too late, these humans were not resisting for survival. They were fighting for extinction. Extinction not of themselves, but of their masters. The battle raged for hours, space filled with fire and broken metal. The Accord lost ship after ship, each one torn apart by human weapons that should not exist. Finally, the dreadnought, proud and towering, fell, its core exploding in a wave of fire, the shockwave echoing across the void. Humans cheered, their voices carrying through every station, every colony. The first strike was complete, but Earth knew the war had only begun, for the Council's power stretched far. Their fleets were endless, their claws reached across the stars, and soon the full weight of the Accord would fall on Sol. Yet in that moment, in the burning ruins of an enemy fleet, humanity had proven one truth: they would never serve. And now the Accord understood. The humans had chosen war, and not just war, but vengeance. The Council met in silence, alien voices filled with anger and fear. They demanded Earth be erased. They demanded every human world be turned to ash. But even as they planned destruction, one thing gnawed at them. If 4 human ships could do this, what else were they hiding? The galaxy trembles. The ruins of the Accord fleet drifted across Mars's orbit like burning graves, every fragment a message carved into the stars. Earth will not kneel. News spread faster than light, carried by smugglers, traders, and frightened envoys. In the great markets of Orion, alien merchants whispered, "The humans destroyed a dreadnought." In the far colonies of the Rim, soldiers muttered, "The humans killed an entire fleet." No one wanted to believe it, but the wreckage told the truth. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled, the Council raged, their chambers filled with fire and shouts. One voice demanded extermination, another demanded total war, but beneath their anger was fear, a kind they had not felt since the early days of the Accord. "Humans should have been slaves," one elder hissed, "not warriors." But humanity had always been strange, their history soaked in wars, yet also in survival. They had been beaten, burned, crushed. And still they always rose again. And now, with alien steel in their hands, they were more dangerous than ever. Across Earth, factories no longer hid. They burned openly, producing warships at a pace no one thought possible. Asteroids became shipyards. Moons became fortresses. Even the oceans of Earth boiled with hidden submarines, now armed with weapons made from alien cores. Every human, from soldier to farmer, worked with one purpose: to end the Accord. Still, the Council believed in their size. They sent spies, mercenaries, even assassins to cripple the human rebellion. But each one failed. Earth had learned not just to fight, but to outthink. Every attempt only revealed more weaknesses in the Accord's armor. The hammer and its sisters did not stay in Seoul. They moved. They struck, raiding supply lines, burning fuel depots, crippling shipyards. Each strike precise, brutal and sudden, like wolves tearing at the legs of a giant. Alien commanders who once mocked humans now feared to speak their name. But while victories burned bright, humanity knew the storm was coming. The Accord gathered. Fleets larger than stars themselves moved. Whole legions of ships pulled from dozens of worlds, their numbers endless. Against such power, even the hammer seemed small. Yet Earth did not fear numbers. They had learned long ago that wars were not won by size alone, but by will. In secret councils deep below the mountains of Earth, human leaders spoke calmly. They had a plan, and it was not survival, it was not peace, it was annihilation. "We cannot simply fight them world by world," one general said. "We must tear out the Accord's heart." Their eyes turned to the Council itself, a throne world floating at the core of the Accord, surrounded by fleets, protected by fortresses older than history. No one had ever touched it. No one had even tried. But humanity had always done the things no one thought possible. To reach it, they needed more than ships. They needed fear. They needed the galaxy itself to turn against its masters. And so the humans unleashed their second weapon. Not a cannon, not a fleet, but the truth. Across every channel, every colony, they broadcast the images. The fall of the dreadnought, the wreckage of the fleet, the faces of human children once taken as slaves, now freed. Their voices speaking, "We are human, we are not slaves, and we will never stop." The galaxy watched, silent, stunned. For many races, memories stirred. They remembered their own chains, their own surrender, their own shame. And some began to whisper, "If humans can fight, why not us?" The Accord saw it. They felt the shift. Fear was no longer just theirs. It was spreading, and fear is poison. On the throne world, the Council gave their order at last. The largest fleet in their history would rise. It would fly not just to destroy Earth, but to burn every human colony, every moon, every station, until nothing was left but ash. But as the war machine turned, hidden deep in the cold of space, the hammer waited, its crew silent, its cannons glowing. Behind it, more ships now rose from the void. Humanity was no longer hiding. They had chosen extinction, not for themselves, but for the Accord, and the galaxy held its breath. For the war to come would decide who ruled the stars. Fire at the heart. The largest fleet in living memory moved through the stars, a tide of steel and fire, thousands of ships drawn from across the Accord, carriers, cruisers, dreadnoughts, all converging on Seoul. The Council believed this would end humanity. They believed their numbers, their age, their legacy would crush this upstart race. One battle, they said, and humans will vanish. But Earth had no intention of waiting. The hammer and its sisters did not stand still. They did not defend Seoul like frightened prey. They struck first. Human fleets moved like ghosts, sliding between the cracks of the Accord's armada, Stry, King fuel depots, command ships, and communication hubs. Each attack sudden and merciless. The Accord had numbers, yes, but their size slowed them. Their arrogance blinded them. Their unity cracked under the chaos of human strikes. And then came the moment humanity had prepared for. While the Accord focused on Sol, the hammer turned its guns toward the throne world, the very heart of the Council, the place no enemy had ever touched. The journey was madness, guarded by fleets, protected by fortresses, but humans were not afraid of madness. Hidden gates, stolen coordinates, and weapons no alien could imagine carried them through. The first sight of the throne world shook even the human crews. Towers of light stretched across its skies. Fleets circled its orbit like endless rings. But the humans did not falter. The hammer fired. The first fortress fell in a burst of flame, its centuries of armor torn open in seconds. Defenders scrambled, fleets moved, alarms screamed across the Accord's core. But the humans were already inside. Smaller strike ships darted like knives, piercing the orbiting fleets, detonating supply lines, burning war stations. The throne world shook. The Council panicked. Their voices no longer commands but cries. How? How did they reach us? Because humanity had never followed rules. They never fought wars the way others did. And they had one advantage the Accord could never understand. They refused to stop. The hammer's cannons roared again. A second fortress collapsed, pieces raining across the planet's atmosphere, fire lighting its skies. The Council tried to rally. Fleets turned inward. Millions of alien soldiers screamed their loyalty. But behind them, more human ships appeared. Not hundreds, but thousands. Earth had not built just the hammer. In secret shipyards carved from asteroids, in hidden bases scattered across the void, they had built a fleet, an army born in silence. Now it was unleashed. The battle for the throne world raged for days. Stars themselves seemed to burn. The Accord's fleets crumbled one by one, their command shattered, their pride broken. And then came the final strike. The hammer turned its weapons not on ships, but on the Council chambers themselves, the seat of power that had ruled the galaxy for centuries. One blast, a beam of fire brighter than the sun cut through the sky. The chambers split, towers collapsed, and in a storm of fire and ash, the Council was no more. Across the galaxy, silence fell. The Accord was finished, their fleets leaderless, their worlds in chaos, their rule erased in a single night of human fire. On Earth, on Mars, on Titan, on every colony, humans cheered, their voices rising together, not in fear, not in chains, but in victory. The message spread to every corner of the galaxy. The Accord is dead. Humanity has ended it. But what came next was not just war's end, it was change. Other races, once enslaved, once silenced, now stood free. They looked to the humans with awe and fear. Some whispered gratitude, others whispered warnings. For they knew one truth above all. Humanity had not fought for peace, they had fought for survival, and they had chosen extinction for their masters. In the ruins of the throne world, the hammer drifted, scarred but alive, its crew silent as they watched the fires fade. They knew this was not the end, for the galaxy was wide, power would always rise again, but humanity had carved its place with blood and steel they would never serve. And now, every race in the stars knew, if ever they tried to place chains on Earth again, the price would not be resistance, it would be annihilation. Humanity had spoken, and the galaxy would never forget.